Hello everyone, welcome back to slimwithesther.online, and now I'm going to carry on cooking, doing basically chili steak. It's a little bit of a twist on a chili con carne, other than it's using braising beef or stewing beef instead of mincemeat, which you would tend to get in a chili con carne in the UK. But anyway, I've got roughly 900 grams. The recipe does say 1 kilo of stewing steak. I've got 900 grams and I've cut these up into pretty large bite-sized chunks. We've got 100 grams of chorizo here. The chorizo is a beautiful smoked paprika sausage from Spain. We've got one red bell pepper. I've got one large onion, which is the equivalent of 2 small onions. It doesn't matter whether you use the 2 small ones or not. 200 ml of water. I've got a stock pot. Now you can put the stock pot into the water if you want. I've got some balsamic vinegar again. And if we go over to here, I'll just show you the actual spices which I've already prepared. Now basically this is allspice. So allspice, we've actually got 2 teaspoons of allspice. We've actually got cayenne pepper as well. So I've got a 3/4 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. I've got my good old faithful bay leaf. Now I've got some chili flakes here. So I like it nice and spicy. So it all depends on how much you like it. If you like it hotter, then just add some more chili. It's no problem at all. We've got our 4 cloves of garlic. I did mention before, I buy this frozen in little cubes. You just take it out of the freezer 10 minutes before, or you can just throw it into the pan. That's no problem, but it defrosts in no time at all. Okay, so we will be using 2 tablespoons of sweetener in here. We'll also be using 2 tablespoons of ketchup. So the ketchup, if you can get the reduced sugar one, that's brilliant. 800 grams of chopped tomato. So that's basically the equivalent of 2 tins by there. And I've also got 2 teaspoons of cumin powder, which is a lovely spice by there. Okay, so like I said previously, this is a one-pot wonder. It is a slow cook process, and because we've got stewing steak, now we need to cook this for roughly about 6 hours. And once we've actually finished the 6-hour cooking process, the actual beef is going to be really soft, really nice and tender and juicy. And then after that time, that's when we add in the red kidney beans. Okay, so to start off with, I'm going to fry it all off. So I'm going to fry the onions. I'm going to fry the actual beef just to brown it off a little bit and sear it. I'm going to also do the paprika, and the actual oils that come out of the paprika, and then that's what I'm going to use to fry off the onions and the peppers. Okay, so let's begin. You need a little bit of fry light just to brown off the meat. Don't need too much. And I'm going to do the actual beef in stages, because I don't want the beef to basically boil in its own, because there's a lot of water in the meat these days, especially from the normal supermarkets that we're all used to. The actual water will render out of it, and if there's too much in the pan, it doesn't tend to fry the beef to seal it or sear it that well. So basically, if you put too much beef in the pan, it's just going to reduce the temperature of the pan, and basically it's going to boil, it's going to steam. Don't get me wrong, if that happens, don't worry about it, it's not the end of the world, but I do actually like to brown off my meat a little bit better. So let's get something to cook with, and like I said, I'm going to do this in stages. So let's put a little bit in. Start off with. Try to get some distance between them, so when the water comes out, it can evaporate. I have tried to remove all the fat, or the majority of the fat, from the beef, just to make it a little bit more healthy. But it will render down, don't worry, and it shouldn't be too bad. But as you can see, there's not a lot of fat on the beef. So let's turn this up and get these fried off nice. It'll take a couple of minutes to do this. Get these just to seal them off. I don't know if you seen any of my other videos, but I do like cooking with cast iron. This is my good old faithful cast iron. I've had this 20 odd years. It does actually need seasoning again, because food does tend to stick to it over the years where you've used spatulas on there and all cooking utensils and sometimes knives and forks in there. It tends to scratch off the coating. So one day I will season it again. Never throw out your cast iron pans. Never ever. Even if it goes old and rusty, don't worry about it. You can bring it back from the dead, trust me. They're a godsend and I love them. I do have the non-stick pans that you can buy, the more modern ones, which are coated in this more modern type of futuristic coatings, but they're not the same. They're not the same as a good cast iron pan. And as you can see, because there's a lot of space around the beef pieces, it gives the water that's coming out of them time to evaporate, and doesn't boil them and steam in their own juices. Good, right. I think that's the first batch done. Let's go for batch number 2. We could put a little bit of fry light in there. I don't really want it sticking, but likewise I don't want to use too much of it. It's all about healthy eating. And if any of you are interested, I lost another ½ kilo last week. So this Sunday I'll be weighing again. I'm well on track for losing a little bit more. And I will be honest with you, the only thing that I've actually done differently, I drink more water. It's a must. You must drink enough water. I've stuck to the plan. So if you stick to the plan that's on the Slim With Us website, it's brilliant. And basically, I don't drink beer in the house anymore. I was drinking beer during lockdown, and one day I woke up and decided enough's enough. Time for a change. So really, the plan: healthy eating, drink more water, and don't drink as much beer. Not saying I'm a teetotal, because I do like a glass of wine with my food as well. But I'm also going to have a couple of beers when I go out to the pub when they open again. Hopefully that won't be too long. Okay, I think that batch is done. This final batch. In with the last lot. Spread them around, and I'll get rid of this plate, put it in the sink. Okay, I don't need any more fry light. When I cook the chorizo, there's enough natural oils that comes out of the chorizo sausage anyway. Also, you'll see the colour coming out of there, the red colour from the paprika that's in the chorizo sausage. So from those oils that's released during the cooking, I'll use them in the pan to cook the onions and the peppers. Now, all the little bits of beef that's on the bottom of the pan as well. It might look as though it's sticking, but trust me, it's all flavour. Turn that piece around. Beautiful, really beautiful. Okay, I think that's batch number 3. It's okay. Pour this in. And then let's get the chorizo. Put that in. I'm going to turn the heat down slightly because I want this to release as much of its flavour as possible. As you can see, there's already nice oils coming out. It smells lovely. I love chorizo. It's so deep though. Now, it is 7 o'clock at night, so luckily I've got the good old faithful slow cooker here, which you can set for 6 hours and it'll turn itself off. But don't worry, because like I mentioned before, tomorrow it's going to be even a more intense flavour, more in-depth flavour. It's like anything, even you know, you cook your stews or your curries or anything really, the following day they just taste a lot better because the flavors have time to mix in and get to know each other, marry. That's lovely. I think this chorizo is good to go in the pot. Nice. Okay. Now let's get the onion and the pepper in here. Now these won't take long at all. The pot is very, very hot. Good. Now, like I said, the red kidney beans are for tomorrow. Okay, so what I tend to do, I like to actually cook my spices with the onions, like if I'm making a curry, just to cook them out slightly. Not too much, you don't want them on a high heat, otherwise they burn. And there's nothing worse than if you're burning the spices. So what I do, the bay leaf can actually go in the pot now. There's no problem with that. So what you can do, if you're afraid of them burning or sticking to the bottom of the pan, just add a touch of water. And that will make like a little bit of a gravy. I'll show you. I'll do it the way I want to do it. And there's nothing better than onion. When you cook an onion, you fry an onion off like this. Not even when you got, if you can remember the days when you had like a hot dog in a bun, and you've got those caramelized onions. Now they were tended to be cooked, especially if you I buy them off a burger van or something like that. They tend to be cooked in a lot of oil. But if you slowly cook the onions, they naturally they naturally release their sugars and their own juices that's actually inside. So yeah, release their natural juices. And there's nothing better than a fried onion. But you've got to cook them slowly to get all those flavors reduced and released. So that's not the type of thing I'm looking for today, because I still want these to have a little bit of a bite, because they're going to be cooking in the slow cooker. So in goes the cayenne. I'm going to put this in now. The cumin. Allspice. Chili flakes. And most importantly, the garlic. I love garlic. Okay, let's get this turned around and I'll show you what I mean because you can see this is dry now. It's a dry mix and there's nothing wrong with the dry mix, but I'm going to show you just by adding a little bit of water what actually happens. So you're cooking the actual spices out now, otherwise they can taste a little bit powdery. I'm not saying they will in the slow cooker, because the slow cooker will naturally cook the spices out anyway. But if you're doing a normal dish, then the spices can tend to taste powdery and a little bit raw in the dish. That's why I like to cook them with the onions. So here, I'm just going to add a splash of water. And look at that. And then you can cook these out a little bit longer. As you can see, it's making a nice little sauce, a gravy, maybe like a little bit of a curry sauce. The excess water will evaporate and then you're left with beautiful caramelized onions and peppers with all those spices. Okay, I think this is ready to go into the pot. So let's put the pot up here so you can see. I hope you can see this. And there's not too much steam. That's all in there. Okay, let's stir all this around. Now this is the time you can add your tomatoes. And then we can add our sweetener. We want 2 tablespoons. Actually, there's not enough 2 tablespoons, so 1.5 tablespoons is okay. Stir this around. You need a tablespoon of your ketchup. Good. And then our stock and our balsamic in the end. So stock pot, water, and then our balsamic, 3 tablespoons. Okay, perfect. Beautiful. Put this back in there. Give this a good stir in. That's basically your chili beef. Okay, you can transfer this to your slow cooker. Slow cook time, we want 6 hours. Start. So roughly 2 o'clock in the morning, this is going to turn itself off, and tomorrow morning I am going to come and taste it. I'm going to add seasoning, salt and pepper as required. Some chorizos can be a little bit salty, but you might need to add a little bit of extra salt, but I tend to add seasoning at the end, not during. You can always add more salt to taste. You can never take it away, so I tend to just add the salt after tasting. And I can't taste it yet because the beef is still raw, so we let that go, and then come back in the morning. I'll leave the cameras set up, so we'll come back in the morning and I'll show you the end result. I will be cooking this with just steamed rice, or boiled rice, not steamed rice. And like I said, the method I use is normally 75 grams per person. I wash the rice 2 or 3 times just to get rid of any excess starch. Then I put water in, bring it to the boil, and once it's al dente, I drain it and put the lid back on and just leave it with no heat. Just take the heat off and just leave it, and it tends to come out nice and fluffy. So it doesn't stick together. It's good. And you can add, you know, cardamom pods to it if you want to, or you can add a little bit of a cinnamon stick, or even a little bit of saffron to make a pilaf type of rice. Anyway, I'll stop babbling on, and we'll see you in the morning just to show you the end result. Goodbye for now. Okay, good morning everyone. Welcome back to Slim with Esther online. And last night, I don't know if you can remember, but I'd done the chili beef in the slow cooker. It finished around about 2 o'clock in the morning, and now it's time to finish the dish off. So what I'm going to do, first things first, is transfer it to a different pot, because I want to bring this back up to the boil. Obviously, as it finished 2 a.m., it's not warm anymore. I will then taste it, and if I need to, season it. But once I've brought it up to the boil, and I like the seasoning, I'm just going to add in the red kidney beans and then let it reduce slightly. Because I've actually used, this is my slow cooker, and this lid is actually basically a seal. It doesn't get that much evaporation of the juices. So I think I need to reduce it. So what I'm going to do is, first things first, is transfer it to the pot, and then we'll go from there. Even though this finished at 2 a.m, it's still quite warm. Maybe I can have a little taste now. Let's get a bit of a spoon. That one will do. Just to see the actual seasoning. Actually, I don't think it needs any salt. No, I think that's quite nice. Very good. So let me do this over by the sink. I don't really want to splash too much, or if I do, I'll tell you what I could do is use a ladle. It might be a little tidier than me actually just tipping it all out. Now this beef would be nice and tender now, because it's had all that time. But as you can see, I don't know if you can see the consistency, it's still quite watery. Let me put this onto the other cam, and you can actually then possibly see the consistency of it. So it's still like a soup, but I actually like my chili con carnes or anything really that goes with the rice, to be a little bit thicker than this. So I will bring it back to the boil and let it simmer away just to reduce. Get all the juices in there. I think that should be enough. Juicy. Okay, I've just noticed the bay leaf, which we can get rid of. Discard the bay leaf now. Okay, I think I've got most of the important bits. There is a little bit of beef left, and the remaining juice is literally hardly anything left in there, so that's fine. That can go back over there. Now I finished with my slow cooker, so I'll put this to one side, and then I can transfer the actual, here it is, forgetting where I put it, and back onto the heat. Okay, so let's put this back on and bring it up to the boil. We'll let that get nice and warm. Actually, if I put the lid on, it might heat up a bit quicker. Good, okay. So I'll actually be serving the chili with some brown rice, and roughly 70-75 grams per person. So then that's all I'm going to do with this is put this into a saucepan, add some water. I'm going to add some cardamom and some turmeric just to make it like a peel of rice. It also gives it a little bit extra flavour because brown rice can be bland. And then once this comes to the boil, I'll let it get al dente. Taste it as I'm going along, and once that's done, I drain it, put it back into the pan, turn the heat off totally, but put a lid on, and the residual heat in the rice and the pan will actually finish the cooking process, and then it actually turns out quite ideal, nice and fluffy. Let's measure out some Tupperware. Okay. Okay, there's 150 grams. So, rice in. I don't measure the water with my rice. You can use the absorption method, which I've described before, but I find it just as easy to do the drain method. Okay, I've got to find my turmeric. Where are you, turmeric? Ah, there you are. I can see some yellow. It's either turmeric or mustard. And then I want cardamom pods. And they're cardamom. Good. So I'm going to put a few cardamom pods in. You can crush them to release some of the flavour. So that's all I'm putting in here is basically half a teaspoon of turmeric into the water, and that will actually make the rice go a lovely yellow colour. Now there's not much flavour to turmeric, even though it's got some brilliant antiseptic properties. It's not a hot spice, if you know. Anyway, let's get that stirred around. You can see it's lovely. The water's actually gone. Let me put that into the middle so the camera can see it a little bit better. Good, let's turn this one on as well and put the lid on. Now with the absorption method, they say when it actually comes to the boil and you turn it down for a simmer, put the lid on, don't stir it. You're not supposed to stir the rice, but like I said, I don't do that method. So I'm going to let this bubble away, this chili. Not for too long, 10 minutes or so. Just to thicken up and reduce, and then I'll add the red kidney beans. It's already lovely. Look, you can see the chunks of beef. Now I can get rid of the lid because I want it to evaporate and thicken up slightly. Now the chili's been reducing for 10 minutes. I'm going to drain and rinse the kidney beans before actually adding them to the pot. Now, if the chili wasn't so watery, you could possibly add the juices from the tin. There's nothing wrong with the juices from the tin. Oh, it's snowing outside. Okay, let's put these over and just pour these in. Give it a bit of a stir. As you can already see that it's thickening up lovely because it's evaporating and reducing. And there's your kidney beans. And basically the kidney beans are already cooked, so they just need heating through. So I'm just going to leave this on the stove until it's the consistency that I want, and then we'll go from there. I've actually put the rice on a different ring because it was a little bit too fierce. And that's basically it. As soon as this is ready, I'm going to dish up and I'll show you the end result. This has literally been on, it's now 11:10 in the morning, and that's just about right. It has got a little bit of a crunch in the middle. So now I'm going to take it off the heat. I'm going to drain it, and I'm just going to put this back into the same pan and put the lid on, off the heat. And that will continue to cook the rice. It'll turn out, it won't stick together, it will turn out nice and fluffy. That's good. I'm also going to turn the beef off now. The chili basically has thickened up tremendously. Oops, I'm dripping some down the side. And it's starting to stick to the bottom. So I'm going to take this off and just again let that sit. Put the lid on. You're probably wondering why I've made so much. Well, the actual recipe on the website, you can select the amount of people, the servings you want. I've selected 6 servings. That's why there was quite a lot of ingredients yesterday. I'm one for batch cooking because I'm working throughout the week and I take my own lunch in. I tend to take it in Tupperware, and then I'll just heat it up in the microwave. And if you do make too much and you're not going to use it, you can always freeze it. It's ideal then just to come home and bang it in the microwave, and you've got a lovely meal, good healthy meal in no time at all. So I'm going to dish this up probably a little bit quicker than I would normally do because I want to show you the result. So I'm only going to dish up a small amount just to taste, because this is going to be for our dinner tonight. Let's get this spoon, just get a lump of chili. And what it's like. If you come across any cardamom pods, just take them out. I just had one. I don't mind the flavour actually, but some people think it's overpowering. Not bad for brunch. But this steak here, you can cut it with a fork. So you can see how tender it is. A very good, healthy chili steak. I'm sure you're all going to love it. Please try. Let me know what you think. And I'm all open for suggestions for the next video. So please send in any requests that you want me to do. Don't worry that it's if you do have a recipe, or if you do want to cook an ingredient and you don't think it's Slim With Us friendly, don't worry, we'll adjust the ingredients accordingly, and especially the way of cooking is more important. Reducing the oils that you're using. Don't use full fat creme fraiche or full fat milk. Just slim it down a bit, go a little bit skinny on the ingredients. But other than that, this fair play, or you can cut the meat with a fork. if you do like chilies, please try. Okay, thanks very much. Until the next video, I'll see you soon. Ciao.